but there are a couple recordings out there. So, the story, we'll talk about Anthony's story. We started a Facebook page for it. We call it The Fight of the Titan. Anthony loved the movie Remember the Titans. So I said, we got to give this guy a nickname after this. Leonis took Titan and put it a little bit further, and now we call him Titanthony. And he deserved the nickname after you see what the whole ordeal that he went through. So I think there's a big difference between creating luck and finding luck. You know, someone who wins the lottery, people would always say this is a lucky person. I don't think so. You know, you didn't work for it, you didn't put anything into it, you didn't, no heart, no intention, no emotion. People win the lottery and then it ruins their lives. They end up in debt with drug problems at the end of it because they didn't know how to handle it. There's not one bit of anything that they put into it. They found luck, but they're not a lucky person. Luck is a combination of a few things in your life. Working hard, we're always bringing things to us. So I think that luck is being prepared when what you asked for finally brings itself to you. I don't know how it works and how all these things happen, but I do know that our thoughts somehow, however it works, create the future that we live in. And you got to be ready when you get it, because what happens if you do get the exact situation that you asked for and you're not ready? You're going to fail, and then it's going to ruin anything that you thought about that situation. You have to be prepared. You have to put the thought process in. I've heard seniors say it probably a million times, that faith without works is dead. And that goes in both directions. You can believe as much as you want, but if you never put any action to it, it's not going to work. And if all you do is work, but you never think about what you're doing, you're just going to be working with no end in sight. So have faith in what you're doing. Put intention and emotions into what you're doing. Because whether you're aware of it or you're not aware of it, every thought that you have is creating the future that you're going to live in. And I don't think that that could be as positive as I want. That's not going to affect you. And someone could be as negative as they want. That's not going to affect me. We all have free will. I don't know how all that stuff splices together and blends together. I already told you, the whole system is beyond the comprehension of anything that I could even explain. But it works, and it's been working. So you can find luck, or you can create luck. You know, there's some people that call it, what's it called? Alchemy is when you're working with, no, not algorithm. Alchemy is like an old thing where you're actually able to, like the Titan, not Titan, the Golden Touch. That was alchemy. Yeah, the Midas touch. All that stuff is alchemy. You were able to work with, you know, different elements and minerals. Well, the things that we think are also elements. The electricity that we put out there is all elements. So have faith in the work that you're doing, the outcome that you expect. You know, God is testing He's not testing your sanity. He is testing your faith in yourself and what you believe in. It's not supposed to be super easy. It's not supposed to be an upward, it's all good from here on out. That's not how it works. You don't get it and then, oh, it's cool. You know, when you go to school they teach you a lesson, then they give you a test. Life gives you a lesson and then you're expected to figure out what you just learned. And you don't learn it, you'll see people in the constant cycle of depression and downward cycle and all of those things. They didn't learn. So the same test comes back. Now, say everything happens for a reason. Believe everything was good, bad, all that stuff, right? So, well, a lot of time people are afraid of temptation, Lucifer, and all these things, right? But before he had the opportunity to use his own free will to do the things he did, as far as I understand the story, God created everything, and everything includes everything. So before he had the opportunity to do this stuff and be who he was designed to be, there was a grand, big, you know, he didn't show up one day and was like, all right, this is how it's going to be, fellas. He was born just like everybody else, you know, and then he did what he was supposed to be. And if he didn't become the truest, purest version of himself, then he wouldn't be doing what he was created to do. He did what he was supposed to do so that we could have temptation. I can't tempt you to do anything that you don't feel inside of you. It's part of the story. All powerful means all powerful. It doesn't mean only good powerful. It means all powerful, encompasses everything. Everything means everything, and all means all. So in order to be all powerful, you have to be able to control both sides. To teach people. You don't learn anything from the good stuff. If you get what you want all the time, you'll never learn, you'll just expect it. And then, like the people with the lottery, it's a waste. It's a wasted gift. So, I believe that everything, the good, the bad, the people that you meet that are not good people, they're all, whether it's a conscious decision, whether it's because they're just following what they're supposed to be doing to give perspective to everybody else. It's all supposed to be here. Nobody can tempt you to do anything that you're not tempted to do, but we've also, the temptation is there, so when you find what, oh, this is bright and yellow, but I don't care, and then I can walk away, and I feel good about it. I had the strength inside of me to walk away from the things that tempted me. It's all part of the story that you're creating. It's all part of the opportunity that you've been given. So the troubling things, the things that mess us up the most, those are the things where we have the most opportunity to grow. So what can we learn from Anthony? I am going to go through the slides. You know, and this is kind of a weird thing. I always do this with my life. I try to look at it like it isn't. The things that have happened to me that give me the hardest time, I try to look at them like it's just something I'm reading, not something that actually happened to me. Because the things that happen to you in your past make you who you are right now, but they're not what make you up. They are the things that you look back at so that you can figure out. We have the emotions that are inside of us because of those things. But if you can look back at the things that happened to you, if you can look at a situation, is subjectively the right word? If you can step back and look at it like it's a lesson. What could I learn from this? What should I have learned from that? Because in my opinion, anything that happens to me was attracted to me because of me. So what did I do that made this happen? What lesson do I need to learn moving forward? So I always say, I just got here. What am I going to do now? I treat it like it's a job, not a good job, bad job. I just treat it like I try to look at the situations and look back. Even things if I didn't learn the lesson then that give me a hard time, what am I supposed to be learning? Because I made this happen. When something happens to you, are you going to be ready? Stop this stuff now. So anything can happen in less than a minute. I didn't plan that. That was a pretty good time. Are you going to be ready when you get to that minute? Because it wasn't even a minute. It was like 5 seconds. It happened. Anthony can't remember it. I can't forget it. It happened in slow motion, the whole thing for me. But are you going to be ready when that happens? So, pictures aren't super clear, but that's the ATV. Basically, what I think happened, I'm not entirely sure, but we were coming down a hill, and we were turning. I think there may have been, the machine might have slipped in the engine or something. Usually when we drift, you pull right out of the turn. Well, we drifted and we didn't pull out of the turn. We punched it, no gas. The tires caught to one side and the whole machine went and flipped. I hit my head. I got a little bit scratched up. I'm all healed up now. But the same trajectory that put me out the door put Anthony head first into the steel roll bar. And he hit this part of his head. And we'll still see the pictures in a second, but he hit the side of his head. And then when the machine flipped back and righted itself, he hit the other side of his head. He had to be med flighted in. My dad got to go with him. You know, before this even happened, I'll tell you, this is how strong Anthony is, and he was already prepared when it happened. Once it happens, it's too late to go back and prepare. So, hold on. I go over, I see him, we get in the car, I'm driving down to the ER. We didn't realize anything was super wrong yet. Bleeding, he's unconscious, like really unconscious. So I figured it was pretty bad. We get in the car and he started waking up. He's asking questions. What happened? He remembered what happened, who was driving. remembered he was driving, apologizing to my mom, got him all the way down to the emergency room. He got out of the car, right before this, he got out of the car on his own. He walked to the door of the emergency room and waited for them to let him in. He was inside the emergency room. He was answering questions. He knew what his allergies were. And it was maybe 10 minutes or so we were in there. Time was whatever. We were in there for so long. And then he started to, swelling up inside of his head. And they had to put a tube in his throat before they put him on. They had called this, as soon as he got out of the CAT scan, they called the helicopter. It seemed like it probably took 25 minutes or so for it to get there. But it did get there. And he got on there. You can't really tell. Does this thing have a laser on it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you can see right here, it cracked this is his eyes, yeah, it cracked straight across, cracked back on both sides. This is one big piece right here. That's another big piece. They had to put his head back together with 56 little pieces of titanium, a couple of screws and all that stuff. Now, we didn't know. I think my dad probably knew because he was on the helicopter with them, but he wasn't even expected to survive the flight to the airport, to the hospital. And Aaron was there even before the helicopter. Aaron's got nothing but love for the family, the Sisel family, the company, and all the stuff that we do. I said it before, he would take a bullet for this company, and he was the first one there, and he stayed with us the whole day. So, Aaron, thank you. But he busted up his whole head. And they said that if you're going to break your head, you might as well break all of it, because that's probably what saved his life. The amount of flex that he had in his skull allowed him to make it all the way to the hospital, So this is the first day on a breathing tube. It gets better pretty quick, but it's still difficult to look at. So this is after the surgery. It's like an hour and a half surgery. On the whole car ride there, I was like, day surgery, he'll be fine. And I was optimistic always. I never felt like, I also didn't know that he eggshelled his whole head, but I was optimistic. I know my brother. Day 2. Now you can see the difference in his face from, I guess you really can't because he's kind of, packaged up there a little bit. But they're surprised that he even survived the flight. And then once he goes through the surgery, okay, good, he survived. But now all their concern is what's going to be the long-term repercussions of it. You don't get the long-term stuff from the bump on your head. You get the long-term stuff once they put you back together, and you got increased swelling for 3.5 to 4 days. It happened on Friday. They told us we got to be worried about swelling Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We can stop worrying about it. So this is the first, the evening of, so that first day we were in there, it was only a half a day, but still. So he started swelling up. Day 2, this is the Saturday now, and they expected his brain's going to do the same thing. Well, Anthony's been on the Triangle of Life for 5 years since he was in college. He's been on Brain Vitality for 5 years since he was in college. He takes 1 TSX a day. He takes a dose of the H pill every day since it could come out. The morning of, we had breakfast like we always do. We had the triangle with the Fucoid, and then he had the coffee, like he always does. So he survived the flight, which was the big miracle at first, but then on day 2, he's still in the coma. Day 3, he's off the breathing tube. Now they think he's going to be, they told us original estimates, 5 to 7 days ICU. A week to 2 weeks in the hospital, and then a month and a half to 2 months probably in a hospital rehab facility. So day 3, for some reason the water helps. Thank you for the water. So day 3, he's already doing better. He's off the breathing tube. And what we think happened, because they were, again, with the swelling, they were concerned. They took one at the emergency room. That's when they were like, oh my goodness, everything is broken. Then they called the helicopter. They took one before the surgery so they know what to cut, and they took one after, so they have something to compare to. And they took one 12 hours later at 4 in the, it was roughly 12 hours later, 4 in the morning, so that they could see what's going on. And from Saturday morning, or from Friday afternoon to Saturday morning, he's already stabilized. There was no increased swelling. And now they're like, shock and awe with this kid. There wasn't one person that he met that didn't know what to think of him. You know, day 3, he's back breathing. This is, I mean, he cracked everything. You can see it there, right all the way in there. It was really bad. Day 3, still day 3, in intensive care. They came in, they asked him, "You want to sit up, buddy?" So they had him tied down with a vest, because at no point, even when he was knocked out, when I first saw him, he was trying to sit up. So they had to put him in a vest. And they had to tie his hands and his feet down because he kept trying to get out of bed. At no point in time did this kid want to sit. So when they asked him if it was physical therapy, they had to hold him back from him getting up too fast. So day 3, I mean, you can see he's having a hard time. He's not looking down. He just couldn't hold his head up. He was just off the sedation medication. You know, the trauma guys like to go pretty quick. The neurosurgeon's a little more cautious, but the trauma guys like to go quick because the faster you can stop moving, the better the recovery should be. Day 4, getting the thumbs up. Second day, walking around the hallway, he told the guy, "I'm gonna high step out of here." And he started, with help though, he started kicking his feet around like he was high stepping. But he told him, you know, he loves Randy Moss and the Patriots, and before this, he was still like sedated. Randy Moss always does his touchdown dance. He goes like this. He says, "I'm gonna break it open." So Anthony, as soon as he knew he was hurt, he said, "I'm gonna break it open." So, hold up. I think, well, I thought that was my sister when I looked at this earlier, but anyways, me and Liana in the first picture, and then me sitting there. I didn't leave his side the whole time. Positive thinking, subconscious mind, we talk about that stuff all the time. Once he survived, one of the doctors called him a superhuman anomaly. That's all I needed to hear to believe it. So, anytime he moved, I would just tell him, "Buddy, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. The doctors think you're superhuman." I'm pretty sure he could hear us. This was before this. This was like the first day, second day. I never left the side one time. I just kept telling him. Because we always say we got superpowers anyways. He just has a doctor's notes to prove it now. So day 5, swelling's all but gone. You know, his eye, he cut through his eyelid, he cut through his eye, his actual eyeball. You'll see, I think maybe in here there's some blood in his eye. But day 5 was, so this was like, day 5, we were out of ICU. It was like 5.5 days into the 6th day. But as soon as he was out of ICU, Tom came to visit us. Spent quite a bit of time with us. He had some stories. He was talking, and he was doing pretty well at this point. So he spent a lot of time. Day 6, time to go home. You're too healthy to be here. Well, they didn't, not too healthy, yeah, basically too healthy to be here. Day 6, Tom came over there the day before, and he said, "Whatever you guys need, you can stay at my house, stay at my house." So day 6, Anthony's up and moving around. He's eating solid food now. And that was it. We went home. He's not sick enough to be at the hospital. He's not a candidate for rehab because he was walking around and talking and goofing and could pick things up, and he was shaking hands. And there wasn't one person in the hospital that he didn't give a nickname to, a joke about, or anything like that. Now I think part of the reason too that he might have been able to. Oh, I know the time. Am I good? I think part of the reason too that he was able to do it. They had him on propofol. The sedation medication that Michael Jackson died from. It's not a painkiller, it's not a drug that you would get, unless you're Michael Jackson, I guess. It's not a drug that you would get addicted to. It just makes you go to sleep. And the typical dose that they would give someone is between 15 and 30 micrograms a minute. And that would be enough to pretty well put anybody out for as long as they want to keep giving it to you. They had a 250-pound MMA fighter in there. Not at the same time, but at a different time. They had him on 80, which is more than double the standard dose, but 80 micrograms a minute. Anthony was on 100 for hours on end, At one point in the night, still trying to wake up, they put him on 120 and still had to give him a milligram of Dilaudid, which is another like knock you on your butt no matter who you are. And he's still trying to sit up. They didn't know what to think of him. And I think the propofol is a fat-based thing, someone told me. And I know the brain's like 70% fat. And because he was already in healing mode, he was just, they told him, we've never seen somebody metabolize medicine as quickly as you have. They gave him a paralytic on that helicopter. Paralytic is designed no matter who you are, every time they give you one, you're paralyzed so you don't move. The nurse practitioner told her, I've never heard of it before, but we had to give you 2 to keep you down on the helicopter. So they had him on that stuff and 120 micrograms of propofol. I'm pretty sure he was just using it as fuel to fix his head because it's fat-based and your brain is fat-based. And his body was in heal mode. Thank you. The Fucoid boosts your immune system. It takes the inflammation away. Yeah, it was a miracle that he survived. But they had the physical therapist that they had there talking to him. So I don't even know what to think of you, kid. They had him, this was on the 8th day was his first outpatient meeting with the physical therapist. And then he came back again on the 10th day. So on the 8th day, they had him walking around. He did like 1,200 feet in 6 minutes walking, testing him, let him ride the bike for 10 minutes to see where his, not a pedal bike, it was like a stationary bicycle. Let him ride the bike. And then at one point, to test his balance, this is on day 10, your balance is low and then you have here in your eyes. So they had him walking backwards, turning his head side to side with his eyes closed. And the physical therapist was like, you walked around and couldn't believe that his eyes were even closed. And most people at 10 days aren't even awake yet with an injury like that. You know, and this kid's leaving the hospital in 6. So then we stayed at Tom's house for 9 days. You know, on the 15th day, we drove him back to California and he's been there since. And it's incredible. You know, we had prayers from all over the world, Japan, Italy, all the Sisel distributors in Europe. We had well wishes and happy, oh, there's that 7 days later. This other one too, you can see, busted his skull there. This is on the sides, in the front of his head. That was on the 7th day, standing up. Sisel number 1. That's at Tom's house there, day 8. You know, his journey continues. Traumatic brain injury is different with everyone. He'll continue to see PT, speech therapists in California. We are going to go back to Utah on October 11th when he has to see the doctors, and we'll go talk to some of the nurses. A few of them had expressed interest in visiting the manufacturing facility because they've never seen anything like this. Like, he's I don't know, crazy, my brother. But it was quite the story. It is a miracle. And they said that, you know, they said modern medicine, I say this all the time. I've never heard a doctor say it. Modern medicine is a practice. We don't know what to think of you. This is a miracle. So what can we learn? I'll go through a couple of things here. Isaiah 58:8. Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing energy will quickly appear, and then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. And he was ready. He did what he was supposed to do. And then when he needed the help came. You only have one you. You never know when you're going to need all of what you've got. And preparation and prevention are the keys to a healthy lifestyle. You got to have an optimistic mindset. At no point in time, if you ask Anthony, as soon as he woke up and he was doing all this stuff, he kept saying, nobody told me that happened. I'm just doing the best I can, he kept saying. He said, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Thank you. So if you're going to break your head, you might as well break it all the way. You need to have strength, mental strength, physical strength. Gain it, get it, maintain it. Use whatever you've got. Don't complain about the body you have. Work towards getting the body you want. We all have the opportunity. All you've got is all you've got. Happy and humorous. Because there's no amount of darkness that can dim the glow of even a single candle. then that same candle can be used to light a million other candles, and it'll have no effect on the first candle. In fact, when you put two candles together, you get a bigger flame for a second. Faith. I said this already once. If you have it, you already know. If you don't have it, if you have to ask, you'll never know. And if you already know, then you don't have to ask. Faith is the key. And it was from us, from everybody with Sisel, from friends outside of Sisel. It was amazing, amazing, still amazing. You know, it's been, I think we were in Utah for 3 weeks and a day. It happened on August 25th anyways. And if you were there now, unless you took his hat off and looked at his head, and even the hair is starting to grow through his, my aunt's a hairdresser, and she went to look at it, and she said she's never seen hair grow back through a scar. So maybe at some point with the rapid repair and all that, maybe you won't even have the scar. But he definitely doesn't have any cognitive problems, or he didn't lose any skills or functions. And it was an incredible story. We wouldn't have been able to do it without everybody, the love, support, and the prayers. And we're very, very grateful that we had the opportunity. I mean, I guess it was an opportunity to grow and to learn. So, quite certain it was an opportunity to grow and to learn. Maybe I'll have to think about it. Well, I know I need to wear a helmet from now on. That's the first thing I learned. Probably get one just to walk around in. All right, so I'm gonna bring Dee up. All right, cool. But everybody, thank you for letting me share. I appreciate you being here.